So, hi everyone. I'm your host, Jasim from the International Office at Jönköping University. Before we begin, some practical information. This session will be recorded and later we would put a copy of this feed onto our JU web in next few days. You will also have the opportunity to interact with us and with our guest and ask your questions. Kindly write your questions at Q&A function on the Zoom. You can find that link. We will answer all of the questions at the end of this webinar. Today, we will discuss and gain insight information on our master's program in applied economics and data analysis. And what is it about? Our world has become increasingly digital and business leaders need to make sense of enormous amount of available data today. In order to make key strategic business decisions and leverage data as a competitive advantage, it is critical to understand how to draw key insights from this data, right? I mean, if you look at one of the statistics given in by LinkedIn, you will see that they rate that by year 2031, the people looking for business analysis related work would be 23% higher than the average for all the other occupations. So it tells so much that how important this field can become. I will not say more, and let's welcome our guest, Dr. Anna Norden. Thank you, Anna, for taking time out and help us understand the program in depth and what makes it unique.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here and happy to hear that there are many listening to this webinar. So hoping to have questions and more interaction with you later on.
Oh, wonderful. So I have designed some questions which we hear quite often from our lot of interested students all around the world. So I would be happy that if I begin by, taking those questions with you. So I'll shoot with my first question. Could you please tell a bit about yourself, of course, and what inspired you to teach at a university?
Yes, of course. So first of all, let me tell you, all of you, that I'm the program director of this program, Applied Economics and Data Analysis. I'm also an assistant professor in economics, which means that my position includes both teaching and research. And I think that is very important because my role here at the university is, of course, first of all, to be a teacher and provide knowledge to society, and to be able to do that in the most coherent way, using our newest research, newest knowledge that we have. It's also very good that we are doing research at the same time. And I really love research, but my biggest passion is actually in teaching. I think it is to our students that we learn new ways of how to make this world a better place. I'm also very passionate about nature and nature conservation, actually. And I know that some people might think now, oh, didn't she say that she is an assistant professor in economics? Well, I decided to study economics because I quite early in my studies understood that if I really want to make a change in this world, I should understand how markets work. Because you probably have heard before that money talks, or maybe you should say market talks, right? And once you understand how powerful markets is, you can also learn how we can design policies around these markets to steer our world in a more sustainable direction, protecting nature, for instance, which is my passion. I also, as you mentioned, think that quantitative analysis is something very, very useful when you make decisions. It's, of course, not the only thing we should base our decisions on, but they often are used in many different decision-making processes as a baseline, understanding the data and making a rigorous quantitative analysis.
Oh, well said.
These kind of components inspired me to teach at the university, and it also inspires me to be the program director for this particular program in applied economics and data analysis.
So my next question is, if we go a little bit detail, I know you have already touched upon it a little bit, but what is applied economics and data analysis? What is our aim with teaching this? And what kind of societal needs or industrial needs or economic challenges are we trying to address through it?
Well, the aim of this program is to educate people that can provide data analysis for decision making. So I already touched a little bit on that. And there is so many decision taking by businesses and public sectors that are actually not based on facts and current figures, but more of this is how we usually do it, or more of a gut feeling and things like that. But more and more this need to get these facts and current figures right is arising. And I mean, as you also touched upon, we are also living in a very data-rich world, right? So it might seem like a paradox to know that a lot of the decisions that are taken are not based on quantitative analysis, even though we have a lot of data. But I think that also points to why there is such a big need to be able to understand data, meaning having a strong theoretical background to be able to understand what type of questions to ask and what data you need to be able to answer these questions. I also think that we need a better understanding for how we analyze this data, meaning having the right tools and method that can make sense of all this data that is out there. And make sure that you really answer the question in a correct way, so to say. And then secondly, or thirdly, an important part is also how to present this. So once you have understood the data, analyzed the data, how do you present this in a good way? So here I think the need for the skills to both in written and in oral way, be able to explain your question and your answer in an understandable way for people to make decisions based on this is also important. And all these skills and competences is what we have baked into this master program, Applied Economics and Data Analysis.
Wonderful. And one of the common questions I get from a lot of potential students is, are there any internships or real projects or simulations they will get an opportunity to work on or to test and apply their knowledge?
Yes. So I think it would be strange to call the program applied
Yes, exactly.
if you do not use your knowledge. So yes, let me give you some concrete example for how we use this applied part in the program. So for instance, in the course in the program called Applied Econometrics, students will do assignments where they go through the steps that I just talked about, meaning understanding data, analyzing data, and then also presenting the data. So the first is that they have to formulate a relevant policy question, like for instance, what is the impact on women's labor participation when men start to take out more parental leave? What is happening? Then they have to describe a method that they will use to be able to answer this question. So for instance, use an event study, for instance, where there has been a policy change in the parental leave system or something like that. That can be used to try to understand what is really happening, what is the impact of such policy change. And then, as I said, finally, the students will have to present the results, both written and orally. So this is one way that we work within the courses. We have another course called Applied Economics for Decision Making. In this course, the students throughout the whole semester will work on a case study. This year, the students are working with the municipality of Jönköping, focusing on the question of industrial concentration. So here again, they will work with data, they will work on their presentation skill, they will do analysis, and then in the end, they will present their work in front of a committee consisting of both academics and people from the municipality, experts and analysts that are outside academia working with this practically. And the best group presentation will actually gain a prize as well. Work with incentives since we are in economics. And finally, the program also have a mandatory internship where students have to spend at least 10 weeks. And most students actually spend more than 10 weeks in their internship, but at least 10 weeks in an organization where they can use their knowledge in practice. So this year we had 15 students, I think, that went to a lot of different organizations, both in Sweden, but also abroad. So I think it's important to also point out that this is also an opportunity to get an experience working in an organization, not only in Sweden, but also in other countries.
Well, thank you very much for such a detailed answer.
Yeah.
In fact, honestly, I kind of feel to make an application for economics myself.
That's good.
Because data drives me quite, I'm quite excited about that. And I think it's taking over much of our roles and decision making. And it has become one of the fundamental factors to really make your daily decisions based on this.
Exactly. No, and also let me mention one more thing that doesn't necessarily go into this internship and applied part, but one thing that we noticed when we built this program is also an important component is programming. So there will also in the program, there are 2 courses in programming, one focusing on big data, understanding how we can use programming to really get downloading and reach all this data that is out there. And another part in the programming focusing on predictive models. So how we can use programming to predict things with the data that we download. Yeah.
Very interesting.
So more practical.
JIBS is renowned around the world with its research excellence, especially in entrepreneurship and family business. Could you tell our audience a bit about how our research is integrated with our programs?
Yeah. Yes, this is a very important component for JIBS. As a school, we work on this in several ways. So first of all, we have 3 research centers at JIBS focusing on these topics of entrepreneurship and family business. We do have a couple of master programs, except this program that I'm talking about today, that are specifically focused on these topics. So for instance, we have strategic entrepreneurship, which is targeting those that are running their own business currently or to identify and develop opportunities within existing businesses. We also have a master program in global management where there are courses particularly focusing on entrepreneurship and family business. And then this focus on digitalization is not only in our master program in the sense that we work with programming and so on, but we also have another master program at JIBS called Digital Business, where we take a broader business approach to the digitalization that shapes our society. But let me come back to the whole idea of our education at JIBS being connected to research. And we do this in several ways. And if we again zoom in on the program that I'm the program director for, the Applied Economics and Data Analysis program, I think the first part that I will highlight here is that all teachers in the courses, they have ongoing research projects. So that means that they are active researchers and that they bring this research also into the classroom. So our faculty in economics offer a broad spectrum of research topic, including entrepreneurship and innovation, regional economics, public economics, biodiversity conservation, of course, energy, macroeconomics and finance, international economics, gender, and also some new research on LGBTQ economics and even more. So a very broad spectrum. So not only the focus on entrepreneurship and family business, but just this connection with having active researchers as teachers as well. I think it's a good model to make sure that we also make benefits of this research going on to our students. And the second part is that since data analysis is a very important topic, as you said, in business and in organizations in general, our focus areas of entrepreneurship, ownership, and renewal is, of course, also something that we always encourage our students to bring in as topics into their assignments and data analysis as well. So it comes in different ways.
Excellent. I hear great things from our current students about extracurricular activities such as JIBS Entrepreneurship Challenge, the Innovation Runway, JIBS Sustainability Day, Startup Jönköping, students, etc. Could you please say a few words around this and how they benefit students?
Yes, of course. So I think, being a student is a full experience, right? It's not only going to courses, but there are a lot of other things happening on campus as well. You mentioned a couple of them. So entrepreneurship is, of course, something that JIBS is engaged in a lot. And this entrepreneurship challenge is a yearly event that is happening where students compete to stimulate entrepreneurship and creativity. So the competition is developed to foster cross-disciplinary thinking and teamwork among students from School of Engineering and Jönköping International Business School. So I think that is also a setting that we have here at Jönköping University, that all the schools are situating in the same campus, and the JIBS Entrepreneurship Challenge is a way of trying to bridge knowledge across disciplines.
Excellent.
And I mean, I could talk much more about that, but there are also some other things that I think I would like to highlight here. And one thing is that our university is also neighbor to Jönköping Science Park. So some of the events that you mentioned here is coming directly from them. And that's offer an opportunity to our students to develop their ideas into startups, for instance. And there is also a wonderful way of really making practice out of what you learned during the years here at the JIBS. So I think that's also important to highlight. And then, of course, since my passion is within nature conservation or even sustainability in general, I think the Sustainability Day is something that I would like to highlight a little bit as well. It's actually grown a little bit. Sometimes it's just a day, sometimes it's even a week, but it's a mixture of inspirational talks, student-driven activities, interaction between research and practice. It's also an opportunity to interact between our international environment that we have at JIBS, but also the local community. And we have events where we make these two worlds, you could say, meet and discuss sustainability issues. And this Sustainability Day or Sustainability Week, depending on which year we look at, has also been a collaboration between the 4 schools that we have here at the university. So again, trying to bridge this interdisciplinarity that is needed to meet these challenges.
Excellent again. My follow-up question is on actually data analytics. I know that you have touched upon it as well, but I'll just say my questions anyways, because maybe we can talk a little bit more into it. Data analytics is the collection, as you said, collection, transformation, and organization of the data in order to draw conclusions, make predictions, and drive informed decision making through it. What methods will we be using to streamline our students' journey to acquire these skills? I know that you mentioned some programming skills. Is that it, or is what goes around this particular question actually?
A lot of practice, I would say.
Yeah.
So there are things that you cannot just read in a book and then you know how to do it. And I think data analysis is really that. Of course, you need to read books and understand theoretically how to ask questions and what data you need, but then you really need to practice. So in the program, you will go through several courses where you during the lecture will sit in front of your computer, and while the teacher is explaining how to do things, you will also do them. In the programming courses, for instance, you will work in the Python setting, step by step. So it's no need that you need to have program knowledge with you when you enter the program, but this is knowledge that you will gain throughout the program. And as I explained before, the program is built on the principle that you first need to deepen your theoretical knowledge, otherwise it will be like driving without a map. It's easy to get lost. And when you go into the more practical parts of the data analysis, working with real data and also learning programs and models to be able to draw conclusions and make predictions. And again, what is it worth if you cannot make people understand the results? So once again and again throughout the program, you will also be practicing how to present your results. If someone is interested in specific softwares and so on, I mentioned Python, but there will also be some more.
Okay. Wonderful. As I said before, it feels like I would like to really join in this education, because I would really like to learn more deeper skills into data analytics. What kind of platforms and tools our students will be able to learn? And I think you've already answered that, so I'll skip my next follow-up question. And
well, maybe I can add to that, because I mean,
Sure.
I mentioned Python specifically. So those that have heard about programming before, they might have heard about Python. So that is one, the programming language that we will use. I know that R is another one that many students are asking, why are you not using R? Well, we checked when we built this program. We had a lot of discussions with organizations out there, and I would say most of them pointed towards Python, so that's why we choose that one. But it's easy to transfer if you would like to use another programming language. And then another software that we use a lot in the data analysis is Data. Some students come in with already having the experience of using this software. Others have never used it before. No worries, you will learn that software throughout the program.
Excellent. We have a great community of alumni who have achieved high goals and set great examples for JU. Could you give some exciting examples of our alumnus, and how can this network help our future potential students?
Yes, our alumni network is so important for us. Not only because, I mean, as a faculty, you love to see what is happening with your students afterwards when they are graduated and go out to the world, but of course, mostly for our students that are here. So the alumni network, for instance, creates values to our students by already being part of our first day when we have the introduction week. So during that week, we have an alumni coming here with inspirational talk so that everyone can envision a little bit what can happen afterwards. And then I mentioned the internship course that we have. Here we also use our alumni network quite frequently to get contacts and get a foot into the door, as you say, to be a door opener to different organizations around the world to get an internship into. Where do we find most of our alumni? Well, when we have looked into this, around 80% of our alumni are in the private sector, and around 20% are working in the public sector. So let me give you some concrete examples of organizations where we can find some of our alumni. Some big national banks. So for instance, in the Swedish bank Nordea, but also in international organization, we have alumni at OECD in Paris, working as analysts, at different companies. As I mentioned, most of our alumni is ending up in companies. So Bayer Healthcare, for instance, a large medical care company, we find alumni. Volvo, also Science Park, continuing building this bridge between research and academia and business sector. So a lot of different alternatives.
Excellent. And I think this is really important because I usually say this, that, when we go out in the market to buy some products, they are physical products, and you know exactly what kind of quality you're getting, and you're willing to pay for maybe a same product $1,000 or same product $100. But education is intangible. So, and the factors which you have mentioned, I think there are great indicators of why this education could be worth your money, and what could be the ROI after doing this. So that's quite interesting and really inspiring. Thank you very much, Anna, for answering all of the questions I prepared for you. So
thank you.
And thank you for being here. And I think now we can go back to our attendees and ask questions if they have any, and we can see. So please go ahead and write your questions in Q&A function. I can already see that we have 6 questions which are lined up, and maybe I can begin with those.
Yes.
Okay, so the first one is, yes. Just before the session begins, I was just wondering whether this webinar will be uploaded on YouTube as well. Yes, it will be. And I had that information on the link you clicked. So the information was on that message. So you can find that information. Mohammed Shah is asking, I submitted my application for this education. I'm looking forward to joining JU this August. I complete the Bachelor of Business and Commerce from Monash University and double majors in applied economics. For my econometrics major, I mainly use the R programming language, Stata, eViews, Google Colab, and Microsoft Excel to conduct statistical data analysis for assignments. I'm aware for the programming and big data analysis course in this program, students will be using Python and SQL. Would you recommend having some basic understanding? So I think, would you like to say something? I know that you have already addressed this question, but maybe you can just say, yeah.
Yes. So first of all, it seems like you are well prepared to enter a program. And as I said before,
Definitely.
The programming part is not a requirement. That's the skill that we will provide you with throughout the courses here. Of course, if you come in with the programming knowledge and skills already, I think our program will still be beneficial for you. That's at least what I've heard from the students in the program so far. Some of them have never programmed before in their life, and some of them have programmed quite a lot, but all of them seems to benefit from our courses anyway. So no need to prepare yourself too much for that. We're going to help you with these steps.
Thanks, Anna. For the internship in economics, will students receive any support when applying for the internship? For example, guidance on which companies or organizations are suitable for them to apply their theoretical knowledge in practical work concerning economics?
Yes, we provide you guidance of different kinds. It will be up to each student to apply for an internship. So that's a process that you have to do. And I think it's also our experience when we have worked with this internship before is that is also something that the students learn a lot from doing these processes. But of course, you will have guidance. So first of all, we're going to have an information meeting quite early in the program to inform you about which type of organizations and so on. And there will also be representatives from our societal engagement unit here at JIBS that will help you with these kind of contacts that I mentioned before. We have our alumni network, but of course we also have a register of a lot of different organizations where the former students in economics have been doing their internships. So there are some doors that we might be able to help you find, but then it's up to you to really open them.
Great. I was looking at the course curriculum for the course Predictive Analysis and Machine Learning and year 2, semester 3. I was wondering whether any programming languages will be used to conduct the machine learning methods, or will students focus on the theoretical aspect of the standard regression analysis and predictive modeling?
So it's going to be a little bit of both, but most of all, it's going to be on the programming language to learn it, to use it, and so on. But we always, as I said before, I mean, we always build our courses up on that you need some theoretical background before you start doing practice, so that you more or less have a map before you start walking in the landscape. So yeah, a little bit of both, but mostly focusing on the methods, the programming methods.
Are there any alumni testimonials from those who have completed this education? I'm curious on which roles in companies and organizations are usually chosen by students. I think we answered this question, and we can, I think, give you that information if you want to be in touch on email or something. I think that can be set up. I can leave my email and you can get in touch with me, and I could send you some nice information on that.
Yes, of course. Yeah, but I can tell you that one of the sentences that I pretty often use from our alumni is that the program is demanding but rewarding. And I think that's a good way of summarizing it. It's intensive 2 years, but afterwards it's very rewarding.
Yes, I can imagine that. Can a student choose to spend semester abroad in this 2 years?
So in the current program, that is not a full semester, I would say, or that's not part of the program. But as I said, the internship can that part you can do wherever you want in the world. So that will give you the possibility of having an experience from somewhere else than in Sweden. And as I mentioned before as well, you have to do at least 10 weeks, but many of our students do longer internships because the internships often offered from many organizations are longer than 10 weeks. And for that reason, we also make sure that the two courses during the fall is as best that they can, giving the opportunity to be followed online as well.
Great. Is there any specific template on the statement of purpose for this course? Well, just to give an answer on that, I think we have done a video on how to really write your statement of purpose and what you should focus on that. I can send a link on the chat function, both for my email address and for statement of purpose, and you can watch that video and you can learn everything about it.
Great.
Please, what is the required background for applying for this course with a banking and finance background? Are you qualified to apply? Well, it's hard to say unless or until we don't look at your transcript, because we need to look at the courses you have studied and need to see if you fulfill the requirements set up by this program. And you can find the requirements on our web. If you need more information, I can, again, the same information, like I'm giving this email address, write your questions over there and we will give an answer through that.
Yeah, exactly. As you say, that is a question that is hard to answer in general, but the prerequisites for the program is that you need a bachelor degree in any topic, and you need 60 credits of economics. And in total, you need 15 credits of statistics, econometrics, and/or mathematics.
Yeah.
So that is the requirement. And then, of course, we have the English proof requirement, but that's for all the programs in JIBS.
Thank you, Anna. You answered what I was going to write anyway, so great.
Then you can write this as well. I think it's good.
Yeah. So Reha is saying, thanks both of you. It was really detailed information and sounds really exciting. So my question is about the internship. Do we need to find a company or firm ourselves, or since we have just answered this because someone also asked the same question. Yeah. So thanks, Reha, for asking this.
Yeah, we also get a lot of questions.
You already know the answer now.
Yeah.
I've done BSc in agriculture economics at University of Nairobi. My interest is to use data in analyzing agricultural data. I have done predictive analytics using Excel and Microsoft BI. What the chances of getting admission?
I wish I could tell you, but it seems to me that you have a good background for this. I mean, agriculture economics is also one of the topics that we focus on in the applied economics for decision making, as we know that agriculture sector is an important sector, not only in Kenya, but in many other parts of the world, including the EU. So
wonderful. I'm Precious from Malawi. I wanted to find out if the university requires any extra documentation apart from the ones specified on university admissions. No, we don't need anything what you already have read. That's what's needed. So if you fulfill the prerequisites, you can get into the program education. Okay, so let's see. What type of job roles do students usually take part in for their internships?
That's a very good question. It varies a bit, but I would say that most of them steps into a role as an analyst. So helping the part of the organization that is working with data analysis. And then, of course, that could vary a bit depending on where you go, how big that department is, and more specifically what you're doing. I remember one of you seemed to have quite a lot of knowledge in programming before, and that is also an opportunity. So, for instance, one of our students currently went into a company that's focusing completely on programming. So he went in there to do data analysis based on his programming skills. So using, of course, part of the knowledge that he gained in the courses here, but also taking advantage of already being quite advanced in programming when he started. So it depends a little bit.
How long does it take for the applications to be processed on average? Well, I think if you apply today, I think 3 weeks.
Exactly.
To have an answer.
Yeah. That's what we aspire to be able to do it as fast as possible. We know that you want to know this.
Well, James is saying thanks very much for the webinar. Thank you, James, for attending this, and thank you for all the participants who are attending this. We are end of this session today, and we have answered all of the questions. Oh, just last question, I think, what is the class size?
Yes, so we are aiming to have this is a quite small program. Our aim is to have between 20 or 30 students. The courses are designed to fit this kind of size, to be able to give really this practical knowledge and be able to give good feedback on what you're writing and your presentations and so on. So we often work with quite small groups, so around 20 to 30 students, but it varies a bit from year to year.
Are there any interviews required for application? Yes. I think if you apply through our local admission, you will be interviewed for this education.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much, Anna, for coming in today. And thank you all the participants for joining in today. Don't forget, we have recorded this session. You can always come back to watch this video on our YouTube channel. And if you have missed any of the questions which we might not have addressed, you can ask all of them. You can send an email, and I would be more than happy to give an answer and share it with Anna. Thank you all. Thank you very much. And see you later. Maybe perhaps at Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.